I want to thank everyone who has been watching these videos. Last video that we did was a very successful video, some 700 viewers of it. And I think this is the way that we have the ability to get messages across to our members a lot simpler than reading an email. And I'm glad that we were able to do this to invite you to listen in to what's going on with our association. As everyone knows, the 2025 General Assembly is now in session. Yesterday, January the 8th, the General Assembly gavelled in and passed a procedural resolution in which began the General Assembly Wednesday at noon. And that allows them to be able to put bills into committees, get the session started, and able to get everything in order for them to get this session in place in 45 days, which this is a short session for them to work on the budget amendments and bills that are filed. Now, they had a bill limit of 15, so that will keep the bills a little bit less than what we saw last year. But in 45 days, trying to get that many bills into place is a really tough job.
But Bill, we weren't actually there at the GA. Unfortunately, there was no public admittance to the GA building. City of Richmond had a water problem this past week where they closed the GA to the public, so there was no actual business other than the official start of the General Assembly on Wednesday of this week. It's expected that the water problem will be resolved. We've had problems here at the office ourselves in terms of no water. That should be rectified and we'll be ready to go on January the 13th, Monday, for the start of the General Assembly session.
Just a welcoming to the new mayor of Richmond
Exactly.
to have no water. So it was out of the frying pan and into the fire for him.
And some of our current work, Bill, the 1.4 on the pay chart?
1.4, we're glad to say, was in the governor's budget. So far, our conversations with legislators have been positive about the 1.4%. They're beginning to understand more and more that this was recommended by a study that they had done from JLARC, that 1.4% is what keeps this chart from being compressed any longer. And so, we're hoping and we're believing that the majority of legislators understand this now and that they will keep this in place. But in the General Assembly, you never know. When legislators start looking for new monies to do things that they have initiatives for, these things are in jeopardy. No matter what you have there, any kind of money like that, which this is $3.2 million, I believe, 3.4 million each year, it could be in jeopardy because they try to find money to move around in order to do the projects that they have and that they're initiating.
Mm-hmm. One of our proposals relates to the publication of retired personnel, VSP, police officers in general, their personal information. So under current law, an active police officer can petition the circuit court and ask that their personal information not be disclosed on the internet across the Commonwealth's internet systems. That did not apply. It does not apply in current law to retired persons. And we all know that that threat doesn't end just because somebody retires. And as a result of that, we're asking the General Assembly to include both retired persons for a period of 4 years post-retirement. And like I said, now it just ends. If you retire, you're not eligible, even if there's a credible threat. So this proposed change will allow a retiree to petition the circuit court to have that extend 4 years post-retirement.
Right. And, this is important because of those agents that are working drugs and working gang-related incidents. We all know that they become targets. So this was important that we get this done. We're also monitoring other bills that are being filed. We're looking at bills that are in a positive way towards enforcement for our members and that will help our members. One that I can particularly speak about was shared with us by Senator DeSteph that would allow the officer to stop for a dead inspection sticker that takes the 90-day grace period off of it, and for equipment violations goes back to what we were normally doing, but also adds in their language that the odor of marijuana is a probable cause to initiate a DUI or a drug-related offense that they could find in the vehicle, drugs as they stop the vehicle and smell the marijuana.
And hopefully we can reverse that, because we all recognize that that's become a real issue.
It is. The other one, David, we were talking about is the immunity bill that we initially started with the organization that's trying to give immunity for assaults, and that we were concerned about what that would workload that would put on our people.
Right, and that immunity bill would be similar to the immunity that's in place for reporting a drug overdose.
Right, and so we initiated the conversations. We haven't seen the bill filed yet, but we've shared our concerns, asked them to make the changes necessary, that everyone cooperates with law enforcement and does the things that need to be done to make the workload not so great on the individual when this occurs.
Mm-hmm. Very good. One other thing that we're putting forth as a proposal is a budget amendment for a study. And so this study would relate to physical fitness leave. And our idea is that physical fitness is vitally important, a core component of police officers' work, and include our troopers at VSP. And so the proposal is basically physical fitness leave for up to 3 hours per week to improve the department, particularly, and in terms of physical fitness. So the way that we're approaching this is in the form of a study. It will require a budget amendment. That estimate is $480,000, Bill.
Yes.
And that would be to hire an outside consultant to look at the feasibility of implementing it across the agency. And now we all know that the agency suffers from staffing, issues, and it might be a stretch. But the way that we've coordinated this bill is to allow the agency to have discretion where they are able to implement it, knowing very well that staffing issues may become an issue, in allowing the physical fitness leave. Our position is that we want it to be implemented where we can, where it can be implemented, and to allow folks time during the work week to take leave to improve their physical fitness.
And being realist and saying that this is going to happen, this study will take place. We know now that it has the $480,000, almost $500,000 price tag on it. It's going to be very tough. When you talk to legislators and you say you want this study done, and it has to be an independent outside analyst that looks at this, and it costs $480 million to do it, there's some reluctancy to file a budget amendment that large. So we're trying to look at it in the sense that, well, let's scale it down. Let's look at an area that's short-staffed, that has a first sergeant that's a realist that can say, we could make this work and use it in a pilot program to study how effective it will be. It's not mandatory. Not everybody's going to utilize it. But we've looked at studies that show that it's very effective for this particular profession, that physical fitness will reduce stress and the health injuries, the health of the individual.
Time out of work, a whole host of potential benefits from allowing folks to be healthy.
But we also know that life is busy.
Yes.
That, unless you give them the leave while they're working, most people don't initiate or set aside that time because they want to spend it with their family or
Exactly.
doing whatever they need to do after work. So we feel like that 3 hours within the work week is where that we'll get more people wanting to do the physical fitness, and I think that's important.
Yeah, and this is our first step in making it a priority.
Right. Yeah.
So that we can achieve those benefits that we know are empirically shown through studies. And a healthy workforce is a happy workforce.
Right. The other ones, there's some other budget amendments there that the department has asked for that we've been supporting. One being the new academy. I think that will, help some morale when you come to Richmond. It is like me as a trooper. The last place I wanted to be was back at the academy after I graduated from there. But if you have a nice facility, it makes it a little bit easier to come back and do training and do things there at the academy when the facility's upgraded. The old facility that I was in was back from the 1950s. It was updated in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So we have piecemealed academy over there, and hopefully they can come back with a very nice facility that our men and women can train in, and it's something that they look forward to going to. Mm-hmm. That's one of the budget amendments. There's several others that we've been talking to legislators about. So,
and we'll pursue those in support of the agency.
Let's talk about what everybody's asking questions about right now. And I know we kind of look at it we wrote a letter in support of this Social Security Fairness Act, and we've supported all along. I think we saw a number that there's like 52,000 Virginians mm-hmm. that are affected by it. Not so sure many of our people are affected by it, but I'm going to let David go from here to talk about this piece of legislation that was signed into law by President Biden. It was introduced by a Congresswoman from Virginia,
Abigail Spanberger.
Abigail Spanberger, who we know has said that she'll be running for the Democratic nomination for governor, and so we want to kind of give you some idea of what that's about. I know there's been a lot of questions about it, but I don't think it's going to affect many of our people.
Right. So the two provisions that caused an issue that led to the Social Security Fairness Act were the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. And so what these things did prior to the introduction of this bill was that they unfairly cut retirement benefits or disability benefits of folks who paid both into a Social Security covered job and worked in the public sector in a non-Social Security covered job. So the WEP and the GPO reduced benefits to those who received pensions from public sector jobs not covered by Social Security. Those included folks like retired police officers who began a second career after leaving the workforce, as it was described by Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger. However, our assessment of the bill is that it likely will not include or affect most VSP retirees. It could. Now, and there's an easy way to know this. You can check your Social Security page online to see if you are covered under that. If you are, you probably would have known about it because your Social Security benefits would have been reduced. And the other good news is that this goes back to 2024, January 2024. So if you were affected, the government's going to pay your money back for that period of time since January 2024. So,
or if you open your check and it's for more money, or your bank has put more money from Social Security,
then you'll know that you've won.
You won. So, but that is something that a lot of people have been asking about. Yes, we did support it. We wrote a letter in support to the Virginia Coalition of Troopers that we're a part of, and they had been asking for letters of support, so we did. And at that time, I had talked to VRS about will this benefit our members, and they were saying, well, we pay into both, so there is no offset when you retire, unless, of course, you went into a position that, or you've done work that you didn't pay into Social Security on. So those are some of the things that we wanted to get out there. But that's where we're at. That's where we are at this point in time. In the General Assembly, we just wanted to update you, make sure that you were aware of what is going on this week. I know everybody's like, well, the General Assembly's in session. We haven't seen anything moving up there. Well, this is why. There's bad water, and the new mayor just got broken in early, and he's got a lot of work on his hands, and hopefully this is all resolved by the end of this week so that we can get back to work on Monday. But even at our office, we feel like we smell like the sewage plant from where the water is backed up, and it's just not been running. So hopefully it'll all clear out by this afternoon, and we can open the office back up.
Thanks, Bill, and thanks so much for listening.